The views expressed in this episode are the opinions of the cast members and do not represent the views of the United States Navy or the United States government.
To our last night ashore, drink
Drink
to the
to the
foam.
foam.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of What the Navy. Today's episode is called Into the Darkside. And what that means is if you're planning to go LDO or Warrant Officer or one of those other officer programs. Here, our guests today are, once again, Chief Warrant Officer Niebauer and Ensign Yi. Welcome. All right, so
Good.
I'll start with you, sir. So I work with you, obviously, at work, and
Yep.
you were a prior CTT who has fallen to the dark side as an officer through the OCS program. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, it is correct.
All right,
Minus
so
the dark side. We pay our electric bills.
fair. Uh, so what made you decide you wanted to become an officer?
Well, going way back to before I was even in the Navy, um, I I I wanted to get into business, and so I had a business degree, graduated from University of Hawaii here, and I studied or specialized in human resource management, and with aspirations to eventually get my MBA. And when that kind of fell through, um, what I fell back on was what my father did, my old man, and he retired as a chief warrant in the Navy. So I mean, it worked great for him. So I was like, why not, go that officer route and see what happens. And I put in 2 applications, wasted like 2 years, didn't make it. And so I was kind of discouraged, and the recruiter, in long story short, the recruiter got me. They said, why don't you go enlist in the Navy and see what happens. And sure enough, I did. I went right next door from the officer recruiter to the enlisted recruiter, and they signed me up. And they signed me up as a mass communication specialist, actually. Yeah. Probably doing something like this, kind of like be like an anchor for some Navy news or something. And while at boot camp, I think it was like 6th week, 7th week after battle stations. When we were getting our orders, one of the petty officers there asked if anybody wanted to switch careers. And I was like, why not? What do I have to lose? So I went over there, and they said we have we have CT open. And I was like, oh, my dad was a CTI. So I know a little bit about, crypto, but little did I know about CTT. And that's what they were selling to me. And, but I took it. I was like, CT, cryptologic technician, that sounds really cool. Better than being an MC, I guess. No offense to MCs out there. And so I did that, and it turns out that it was the best thing I've ever done. It was the best choice I've ever made in my life. I had a very rewarding career. Chief PV knows. We've caught up. A very rewarding career in air crew, and but in the back of my mind, I always kind of fell back on wanting to be an officer, because that's kind of what started this whole adventure for me. And so, kind of on a whim and a lot of pressure from my chief, actually, he bothered me every day about it. Put in your package. Where's your package? Are you working on your package? I'm like, chief, chill. All right, I'll do it. And I did it. And that's where I'm at here today. I put in that package and got accepted for 1810 and became a cryptologic warfare officer. Rest is kind of history. And not that much history at that.
So OCS school, we briefly talked about it a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
compared to sailors who become officers right off the bat without having any enlisted experience, what would you say the comparison was for your training and the school?
I would say the experience. I think it comes down to expectation. So kids that are straight off right off the streets, right, that go into OCS versus fleet returnees or priors, the expectation is way higher. They kind of put you in leadership roles. They put you in mentorship roles to kind of lead the pack from the front, because the kids have no idea what's going on. These chiefs and drill instructors are yelling at them, calling walls bulkheads, and drop to the deck and fill your bottle from a scuttlebutt, and they're like, what? So it's kind of like you kind of fill them in and learn as they go, but definitely they hold you to a higher level to kind of lead the way. But what's the beauty of that is it might be that way in the beginning of OCS, but towards the end, you'll notice a shift in leadership. They actually start migrating the priors into kind of the background roles, and you'll see these kids, right off the street, they have to eventually assume responsibilities of an officer, right? That's kind of the goal of OCS, and so they you'll see them towards the latter half of OCS taking on these big leadership roles, and they're essentially leading from the front from that point on. And you'll see them. It's kind of a, not to be too cheesy, but it's kind of a beautiful thing to see, like, and you guys all experience this too. You guys see this in boot camp, kind of like, a civilian becoming military. You see that transition, and then you see them leading other classes as well. So it's pretty exciting.
Awesome. So let's use me as an example, sir. So let's say when I take the test in January, I make board, and I've already said it in my CDB, and I think I've said it on the show. I intend to apply for an LDO program, probably 1810. Haven't decided. Working on that still.
Okay.
But what can I expect in the LDO realm? Is that the same as OCS?
No, it's actually entirely different. We actually have this inside joke between OCS and ODS, that OCS is the real deal, and ODS is a bunch of they just go to fork and knife school, essentially, is all it is. They learn the mannerisms. They learn the what do you call it? Kind of like the etiquette, officer etiquette, and I think they learn a little bit about the Navy programs, because that's huge, right? As an officer, as a chief, you have to be able to provide your sailors all the resources that they need. And so they learn about all the big command programs, DAPA, SAPR, etc. And it's I believe 5 weeks. I can't really speak on LDO program, but I believe it's 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, and OCS is 13. So definitely different. LDOs, you're going to be going through school with other professionals. So you're going to be going through school with lawyers, so JAGs. You're going to be going through school with like doctors, full on MDs. You're going to be going to school with chaplains. So the expectation is a little different. You go there kind of, I believe you go there commissioned. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you go there commissioned. So they treat you differently.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If LDO, or if those who have made LDO but haven't put on the rank yet, if they go through school, I did not know. I recall seeing, CTR1 or chief this or that, having an officer mentor for a certain period of time, doing things with the wardroom, and then it seems like just one day they put on a rank. I didn't know there was a school associated with it. I'm guessing it's something that comes afterward. I didn't think to ask an LDO.
So
LDOs and warrants go through the same program, right? So after you get commissioned, at some point it's written in your orders that you're going to go to fork and knife, which ironically enough, they don't even go over the actual proper etiquette for how to use fork and knife and eat. It's misleading. But the point behind it is less about learning the Navy, because you're talking about LDOs and warrants who are plugged into this program. Eligibility for both, of course, you have to be a first class for, of course, if you achieve warrant. And so in LES, if you don't know how to do the basics of military, then you probably are not going to get selected in the first place. This is more along the lines of trying to unteach bad habits and instill some of the more refined, I will say, leadership techniques that you will use as an officer. So, and yes, we go commissioning, by the way. Yeah, so we get commissioned first prior to attending.
All right, that's good to know, and I'm really glad we're having this discussion, because yeah, I can definitely use this for my toolbox, because it's been more than once when, a sailor comes up to Chief and says, "Hey, Chief, can you tell me about this commissioning program or that commissioning program?" And I get it, I'm supposed to know a lot more than I do, but more often than not, I'll say, "ENS Yi, hey, can you give me a hand with this?" So
that's how we met.
Sure, don't be surprised if I pull you in if I pull you in one of them rooms again.
No worries.
I understand that I understand that I have more to learn about. I don't necessarily care to just shove sailors off to their to potential officer mentors, but so I know that I should know a little bit more about it. But I think this is me personally, admitting that I don't know everything about what is desired in these commissioning packages and whatnot. I go by my personal experience. At one point, I entertained the idea of becoming an LDO, and I had an opportunity to talk to like an LDO coordinator, and I got to see some packages. And one of the things that I took from those packages is what I like to call extracurriculars. And so I'm just taking this opportunity now to kind of clear up my understanding of what should be in the package, admittedly. So those extracurriculars would entail like I guess a duty that you would have outside of the traditional, LPO, chief, the traditional duties, the things that you don't have to do. Say you were, an MWR representative for a command and you did these achievements, or you participated in, you did a lot for CPO 365 or Sailor 360. What I got from the packages that I saw, there was a lot of significant accomplishments in those types of things that, they're not really required, but you show that you went out of your way to care about something for sailors, essentially. So if you could help me out with that, sirs, I'd appreciate it. What is going to be, what are good things to put in your package other than just taking what you've done in the last 365 days, calling it a brag sheet and then transferring that into a, whatever document you put.
So I'll just say right off the bat that the packages are different. When you're applying for a warrant, it's going to be different than applying for commissioning through S, or you're going to go to S, or whatever other means. So I'll let Mr. Yi go first, discuss some of the look for in those packages.
Hey, so I'm not gonna lie, I didn't catch like anything that you said except for I'm gonna let Mr. Yi go. I don't know if
Did
I
anybody
don't know
catch
if
that?
You were underwater for me.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, got it. So
Yeah. Okay.
everything good right now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. The packages are going to be different. So I'm going to let Mr. Yi discuss what they look for in that application process, and then I'll talk about what they look for as far as LDOs and warrants.
The OCS side of the house, I gotta say, I mean, I think a lot of the way the Navy works is it's kind of, as far as like selection boards go, it's a great mystery. Like, I don't know what they look at precisely. I can tell you what I did, and I can tell you my experience through this process. I got to say the biggest thing was attention to detail, and that's very transparent through the way you compile and submit your program or your application. I'm sorry. There's like little things, right? It'll ask you what your rate is, and then it'll ask you what your rating is, things like that, like the difference between a rate and a rating. And so I'll see, as now I'm on the other side as an officer, and I see, I see these applications coming through, and I see these things. I try to catch these and try to mentor these sailors. That attention to detail is huge. If it asks you for a PT score by a numerical value, they don't care if it's a good high. They want to know the numerical value of your PT score. And a lot of this, I think, has value because I'm learning learning the hard way as a JO. Reading instructions is huge. Reading instructions, getting into pubs, getting into directives. You gotta be good at reading and catching detail. I think that's a huge thing that they try to teach, and they try to see that early on. Can you follow a simple instruction to fill out your OCS application? And I think that's where they'll filter a lot of applicants. Secondly, I think they definitely want to see, at least from the priors, they want to see time. They want to get their return on investment. So if you have a lot of time under your belt, OCS is probably not the way to go. Not to say that it's not possible. It's definitely possible. I've seen seasoned chiefs come through OCS. I had one in my class myself, but they're really looking for that young, I'd say malleable sailor to turn into an officer. And even to I guess emphasize that a lot of programs have limitations, right? 1810, it's 5 waiverable to 6 years. You can't go to OCS as an 1810 if you exceed those limits, and it changes every year. So you have to definitely keep an eye out on those kind of things. So I encourage sailors while they're young in their careers, if it is something they want to do, definitely to pursue it early. Even myself, personally, I was reaching that limit, and I'm glad that my chief was there to nag me every single day to put in that application. And then lastly, I think is impact in those amount of short years that you're applying for OCS as a prior. So, your 3 to 4 years that you're in the Navy, what did you do? I think that's huge. By being able to kind of compile and portray to the board of applicants, the impact that you made in the Navy, the impact that you made in your community, is huge. And community reaching out further than just the Navy. I mean, actually going out and volunteering. I think it's huge. It speaks volumes to your application.
So when you say impact, so I suppose, and I guess it's not the right thing to do, right? But we can take a lot of what we do, and don't get me wrong, a lot of it has big meaning,
Yeah.
But we can take a lot of things and add artificial impact to it if need be. Now, when you say impact, is there a specific type of impact? What I'm looking for is impact through leadership. That's always something that I kind of default to, or should I not be thinking that way?
No, I mean, the whole idea is or I guess the concept behind officer candidate school is kind of in the name, right? As an officer, I think they're looking for leadership qualities, leadership traits that you already portray that they can kind of tap into, and develop further through OCS, and then later on into the fleet. So I think it's good to tap into those leadership impact, as you called it, traits in your application. So I guess specifically for myself, and Chief, you know about this really well because you flew as well. But I would say leadership impact specifically for me when I was a CTT2 was, holding three positions on the plane and being the highest qualification for those three positions, right? So I'm being the evaluator. Not only am I running the position, but I own the position, and by owning that position, others have to come, through the qualification, and I develop sailors, their technical expertise, and by that leading mission. So I think like that's kind of a specific example that I can give from my own personal experience.
Yeah, that's that goal that I was looking for, sir. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't want a junior sailor to watch this and say, "Oh, impact." Well, I guess you can equate impact to duties. Well, we have collateral duties. Oh, let me take up all these. Let me try to take up all these collateral duties, and the more collateral, the more Pokemon cards I collect.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm actually really glad you brought.
It's not like that.
Yeah, it's not, and I'm really glad you brought that up because there's a section in the application where it asks you extracurricular activities, and I can't tell you how many times I see UPC. I'm the DAPA, I'm the sapper, I'm the training PO. They just go off on collaterals, but that's not necessarily what they're looking for, right? Extracurriculars are things that are beyond what is expected of you to hold those duties. I think those collaterals. So things that are beyond just designations are huge.
Awesome, sir. We hope you enjoyed this episode of What the Navy. Stay tuned to part 2 where Warrant Officer Niebauer schools us on how to become a warrant and applications for LDO/warrants. See you next time.
Thank you for watching this week's episode. Please give us a like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you can catch all our episodes as they're uploaded or when we do it live.
If you would like to be a part of the show and have a topic that you would like covered, please email us at whatthenavy@gmail.com or leave us a comment below. Thank you for watching this episode of What the Navy.